I'm going to talk a little bit. First of all, I'm not an AI expert at all. I'm a quantity surveyor. I'm just a quantity surveyor. That's all I do, right? Not AI expert. So don't ask me any questions. And I'm not going to talk about IBM because I could get in trouble. Let's see here now. We'll go here. But let me introduce myself. My name is Ross Griffin, and I'm the founder of a digital cost and carbon consultancy. So we specialize in digital projects and traditional cost management and carbon management services. And also the founder of a SaaS company, The Fifth Dimension, which is the kind of principle of what we're talking about here today: data collection, analytics, machine learning, prediction in the future, all related to kind of structured under ICMS, International Cost Management Standards, and project information. So I'll talk a little bit about it, but I'm not here to sell anything. But so why is AI a good thing? From our perspective, we have a number of challenges in the industry at the moment, and again, our perspective being quantity surveyors for now. Traditional cost and carbon management is slow, it's inaccurate, and the information it's based on is outdated. So we're always after the fact, we're always chasing. And so there is no real time when it comes to what we do and what we deliver. And so the advice we're giving to our clients is outdated. So we need to improve that. And how do we improve that? Through technology, right? But we have a lack of integration between cost and carbon data. So what's the cost of carbon for us at the moment? We have a huge issue in the industry, I would say, in the inefficiencies of the traditional workflows. So 2D measurement. If you're printing out drawings on a scale ruler, you need to stop right now, or you're going to be out of business in the next few months, I would say, not the next few years. And one of the biggest challenges I think that we're facing is the shortage of skilled personnel, QSs. The need globally for QSs is only going up, and the countries that produce them are only a few. So if you go to anywhere in Europe, Middle East, Australasia, the need for QSs is going up. So we need to do more with less. This is why we think that, artificial intelligence, etc., is going to help us here. But right now, this is where we are. Manual process. We do everything manually in our profession, right? Your reports, how are you sending them? Yes, you're using email, you're using Excel, all of that kind of stuff. But more than likely, every project you're working on is different. So we need to standardize, to digitize, to automate. And that automate section is where the AI sits in our world, machine learning. But we need to standardize, to digitize, to automate. Keep this graph in mind. I use this quite a lot, and I'm going to continue using it. But look, what do I know? Let's ask IBM. ChatGPT. We did this in a presentation a while back about the future of house building, and I thought, well, why not just ask ChatGPT and see what they say, So we asked ChatGPT, how is AI going to influence and impact cost and carbon management or quantity surveying in the future? So it'll make the traditional cost and carbon management more data-driven, efficient, and integrated. Okay, what does that mean? It will not only help companies reduce costs, but it'll also support in the shift towards more sustainable, low-carbon business models. Really. What does that mean? I think this one is an interesting one, low-carbon business models. If we're digitized fully in our process as a consultant, it means we can work anywhere in the world from our bedroom. We don't need to travel. We don't need the bums on seats, QSs that the current business model is set around. We're able to deliver projects all over the world from our bedrooms, technically. This is this low-carbon aspect. And I think it's going to have a big shift in terms of how we advise our clients from a digital, commercial and carbon sustainability perspective. So the combination of cost and carbon will become the strategic advantage in the future, where sustainability is increasingly valued by customers, investors, and regulators. In order to become more sustainable, we need to improve the process of construction. We all know that. We talk about it every day. We're sick of listening to it. But are we actually implementing any action on this? I think not, if you look in a global sense. But it is coming. And from our perspective, how we look at the advice we give needs to be data-driven and not the traditional subjective. My opinion is, but your opinion is something different. And if we just dive into this, predictive analytics is going to become a major component of what we do as cost and carbon consultants. Actually, we'll become data analysts, not traditional quantity surveying in the future. But we can't get to here, obviously, without good data structures. And we talk a little bit about that in a few minutes. Someone keep me on time there, Alan. I'll keep on talking about this. Automated financial processes. What does that mean? Maybe it's real-time payments. We're not evaluating every month anymore. It's real-time payments to the contractor. actually, for any contractors in the room, I don't think you'll be here in the next 50 years. I think it'll be all direct to the specialist installer and manufacturers and MMCs. Okay. Dynamic pricing, so that's real-time pricing. As we're going through the change within our models, we're having real-time updates on pricing. Dynamic pricing from the supply chain directly, perhaps, where we're linking into the manufacturers of components. So as we're designing, the engineers and architects are designing, we're getting real-time updates. It seems far-fetched right now at the moment, but we're actually not that far away from it in reality if we can come to a standard process. Cost optimization in operations, during construction or the operation of the building. We had a lot of talk about facilities management today, and there's a hell of a lot of value to be created in facilities management for sure. Real-time monitoring and reporting. Right now, today, we don't do any of that. Even if someone says that they are doing it, we're not doing it. It's still the hard hat on, the boots on, and out onto the site to see what's happening. That's not real-time in reality. And so for decision-making to happen from a client's perspective, from a consultancy perspective, this real-time component will become something implemented on every project in the future. But we need a good basis of information and data structure, etc., for that to happen. Predictive cost, carbon impact, like cost, carbon in our world is the same thing. Everything you know about cost management, just replace the word cost with carbon, and we're there. That's how we procure it, that's how we manage it, that's how we cost it, that's how we price it, that's how we report it. Same thing. And so if we can optimize the process of cost management, we can absolutely optimize the process of carbon management. And carbon management optimization from the supply chain. Real-time delivery of materials, non-storage, coming through the most considered transport routes, etc., etc. And circular economy support. So circular economy in the next kind of 5 to 10 years will replace the words sustainability and carbon. It'll all be circular. We're talking about carbon being an important component when it comes to sustainability, but circular economy is where we're going to head to, and that's in relation to carbon management. Again, like this is ChatGPT telling us what the future is going to hold for based on the information available today, right? How do we implement it? We'll get to it in a minute. Yeah, cost and carbon analytics, sustainability in business processes. How do we improve sustainability in our business, and regulatory compliance and reporting? We're already getting a feel for this regulatory compliance with CSRD, ESG reporting, the requirements on the OGP, on ICMS, International Cost Management Standards as a standard to be used, LCA in all public projects, and obviously BIM. All of this is kind of leading towards this kind of result in the future. AI replacing a lot of our administrational tasks as cost managers, quantity surveyors in the industry. And as I mentioned, this is a digital and carbon quantity surveyor on a global level. Because we're standardizing, it's standardizing internationally. It means we can travel anywhere as QSs and work, if that's what you're looking for. But we can also work on any project from anywhere in the world. But we need to be able to standardize in order to be able to do that. So how do we get there? Standardization is key. Standardization first and then digitize. I'm going to throw this graph up and talk a little bit about certain components here at the moment. As I mentioned, manual process, 2D measurement, printing off documents into paper, sending them out in terms of a procurement. If you're not using common data environments or online tendering platforms, we need to step into that. Even the printing of drawings for construction site, construction drawings on site, that's all manual stuff. All needs to be standardized through ICMS, as I'll talk about in a second. Up until 2015, us as quantity surveyors didn't have a global standard in which to report on. ICMS came out. We're now at ICMS 3, which includes carbon. It's the first time we have a global standard. It's the first time we can structure data, cost information, in a standardized way across the entire globe. If you're working in QS practice, you need to be implementing this ICMS. It's now a government requirement on, as I mentioned before, but for projects over 100 million since the 1st of January this year, and that escalates downward over the next 4 years. So if you're not using this as a standard internally in an organization, start using it now. We need to change this. And we predict that the RICS and the SASI and all the standards will all move towards ICMS in the future. So we standardize. Excellent. What happens next? We need to digitize. How do we digitize? We use platforms to digitize. This is where you buy a software. But you need to do this internally in your organization before you start purchasing software. Most companies are going directly to digitize to the software and then going, shit, this doesn't work for us. Like the example we had here with Salesforce earlier on, sitting on the shelf because they were still here. They never did this and they just bought software thinking it fits the solution. There was a contractor in Denmark back in around 2012. They invested millions into digitizing their entire process, similar to what Cisco are doing now, millions into it. They had war rooms with laptops, computers, you name it, 3D models, real-time updates, everything. But the industry wasn't ready for it. It lasted about 3 years and they shut it down. They weren't getting the efficiencies out of it because in terms of the people working on it, we weren't there yet. So the fifth dimension is part of our digitized process. It's a cost reporting analytic in real time and database. So we load our estimates onto this from CostX every time we report to our client. There's a dashboard that the clients can log on to have a look. Every time we load information or change information, it's stored in the database. It means we can go back and analyze any cost information on any of the estimates throughout the entire project lifecycle and understand why change has happened, etc. But what it's doing for us is giving us a benchmark across all our projects, square meter pricing for different typologies, etc. Part of the digitized workflow that we're working with in Cosmos. But again, there's other solutions that will provide this for you. And so, what happens next? Where are we going after this in terms of digitizing? Part of the digitized process and standardizing of that means that we're collecting a hell of a lot of information in a structured way. The larger the data set, the more accurate then AI will be and machine learning will be in the back end. But we need to have the data set. It needs to be large. So again, we reflect on CISC in terms of the one building they have. The data set isn't big enough there in order to influence other buildings. You need multiple buildings with multiple data sets in order to be able to look at optimizations within that. But what it's going to do for us, we believe anyway, it's going to increase quality. Let me just go back there. It's going to increase quality, accuracy, and clarity. Quality in terms of the information because you standardize. The accuracy because it's now you're removing human error. And the clarity because you're able to present that information in any way you want for the client depending on their knowledge base and experience. So that messaging becomes clear because all of the analytics that you produce here are useless if the person you're feeding to doesn't understand what it is that you're talking about. So clarity in the messaging becomes super important for it. So the opportunities here from our perspective, from a cost and carbon, and again, in relation to ICMS. In Cosmos, for example, we use the same cost breakdown structure on every single project. Every single project, same cost breakdown structure. And it's defined there on a building level. It means that we're able to collect then projects from a building perspective into portfolios. And from that, you're able to analyze. And so, for example, this could effectively be the LDA, the OPW, or Limerick City and County Council, if they were to standardize the information flow from a cost and carbon perspective. This is kind of where we need to get to so that we can begin to, once we get to this level, we can begin to analyze this information. I always use the example of, imagine if, Dublin City Council had the data from all the schools they built over the last 25 years in a structured format so that they could analyze for efficiencies relating to just cost at the moment. But if you were able to link cost to material and product, the types of efficiencies you get from that in your future school predictions, square meter pricing, prediction of risk, prediction of time. There's even a component where selecting the best consultants for the projects based on their historical information, but based on the information you're collecting on your project. It'd be hugely powerful. But this is where we're going in the future, we think. So what does it look like, the future for QSs? It's a difficult question to answer, I would say. But again, I just asked ChatGPT, and this is what it looks like. This lady now isn't working on a computer anymore, right? It's all really cool. But then I went, that doesn't really suit us. What does it look like if we put some Cosmos branding on it? And it went, look like this, which doesn't really look like an office, I guess. But that's the future of QSing, We don't use spreadsheets anymore. We don't use Excel. Actually, we don't even use laptops. We just walk around pointing at some kind of fancy stuff, But that's all I have. I have just a couple of more points just in terms of the future, kind of the outlook. Look, I think AI, it's here to stay anyway. This is the reality of it. It's like digitization. It's like building information model. It's the way we're going to work in the future. We're already doing that with the with the phones we have in our pocket. So we can't deny that this is here to stay, but it's going to drive efficiencies and accuracy and sustainable practices for sure. And we cannot escape the inevitability. The failure would be to completely look in a different direction. It's here already today. And it is not a matter of if, it's a matter of when and how fast. But 5 key takeaways for this. We need to think about structure, standards, and data in everything we do. So if you go back to your offices this evening or tomorrow and you're sitting down doing something, just have a think about, is this a task that I repeat every day, every week, every month? And if it is, can I automate it? Can I digitize it? Can I automate it? Is there something I can bring that would improve this task? Is there some way I can actually remove this task from my daily activity? If the answer is yes, then you should be looking into it. Yes, AI is here to stay, so start preparing yourself. You don't need to be an expert in AI, actually. As we said earlier on, there's going to be plenty of softwares that's going to do all that for you. And Baran is our AI expert, so I know nothing about this. But what's important about it is we need to understand structure, what it means to be able to implement AI within our business, within our work environments. That standard process, that standard approach to information, that's what we need to understand, not necessarily AI. And it will not replace our discipline. It will dramatically alter how we work and what we do. So the QS is not necessarily going anywhere, but the tasks that you're doing today are absolutely and fundamentally going to change in the next 5 to 10 years. So just consider that again when you're back to your offices working. And it will also alter our traditional team structure. Most companies will have data analysts and AI specialists as part of their teams. It'll be a natural part of our consultancy in the future, having analysts and AI specialists in order to be able to, again, stay in front of the curve in development here, etc. And either you write your future or it'll be written for you. There's plenty of companies out there developing all this stuff. It's really up to you in your organization to consider what you want to do. And use your networks for advice and help, write to us. Again, we're not AI specialists. We do know cost and carbon. We know data structures. We do know BIM processes. So reach out to us. You can find some contact details. I'll leave that up here for LinkedIn. And as Alan was saying, we have a podcast as well, Inventing Construction, where we talk a lot about this. So find us on YouTube and we'll go from there. Thanks, Alan.
Perfect. So we'll have 3 speakers up here.